Hello everyone. It's public test weekend for EverCraft Online, so that means it's time for another EverCraft video. So, the first video I made on EverCraft Online was titled, I Spent 8 Hours Playing EverCraft Online. And as it stands now, midway through the weekend alpha test, I can't help but wonder what horrible thing was going on in my life that limited me to only playing for 8 hours. I must have had to work or something, because I'm finding it hard to play for less than 8 hours in a sitting this weekend, let alone 8 hours total. Even now, getting the script ready for this video, I'm sitting at a camp killing lurchlocks and tabbing out into my document while I rest between fights. So I decided that I'm going to have a lot to say about this game, so I'm going to split it into 2 videos and release the first one today, and then put out another one on Monday or Tuesday. Last video, I believe I called the crafting system in EverCraft Online convoluted, or unnecessarily complicated, or something like that. But after putting a little effort into it this time, I feel like that's unfair. My 2 favorite things in MMORPGs are lore and crafting, not necessarily in that order. So those are the 2 things that I'm going into EverCraft looking for. I'm playing a monk this time, so while I'm kind of gathering and chipping away at everything, my first focus is going to be leatherworking. So I said it was unfair to call the crafting system convoluted, and I stand by that, but it definitely is complicated. So my goal for leatherworking is to make a wearable piece of armor for my monk. So where do I begin? Now, I need to take a little aside here and point out the world that the developers of EverCraft are presenting us with. I did a lot of running around and exploring while figuring out leatherworking, and everything about this game just looks so good. The world is full and has depth to it, and the trade skills match that. Just look at this area, for example. I believe that this is a nice little farming community. This game leans into the fact that it's inspired by old EverQuest, and you can see that. But EverCraft has taken that feeling of a full lived-in world to a new level and does a much better job of its small settlements and NPCs. So back to my leatherworking adventure. Well, to start out, I'm going to need skinning. I was able to find a skinning knife for sale in Leont, but when I equip it, I do not get the option to skin. Clicking on the corpse of an animal does nothing. So that means I must need to learn a skill. The skinning trainer in Leont does not seem too interested in teaching me anything, so I keep an eye out for another. Eventually in my travels, I hear some talk about a skinning trainer near Greenwood, north of Allard's Fork. Well, I know the way to Allard's Fork well, so I head that way. I find the skinning trainer, and he asks you to hand him a skinning knife. I do that, and I gain the skinning skill. So I head out to find something to skin, and I settle on a clearing filled with rabbits and get to work. I honestly don't know if it was intended to work this way or not, but I don't get the prompt to skin my kills every time. I'm going to assume this is intended and related to the skinning skill because I actually kind of like that it doesn't always work out, and maybe I need to skill up a bit before I can skin reliably. So once I gathered a bunch of leather, it's off to the leatherworking trainer to use it. Okay, maybe not. It seems I have to cure the leather first. So I talk to the curing trainer near Greenwood because the one in Leont won't teach me. And I learn how to use the tanning racks outside. And wow, does it ever take a long time to tan leather? I mean, I guess it does in real life too, but still. Now, here's where I got lucky. This fine gentleman Flea here approached me and started talking to me and then just casually mentioned that you could walk away and do something else while your crafting happens. This guy is a lifesaver. Seriously, I would have just stood there for hours before figuring that one out. So, Flea, thank you. So, after a nice relaxing evening of sitting by a campfire, killing lurchlocks while I waited for my hides to cure, I took my stack of freshly cured hides to the leatherworking table to make some leather armor. Except, I can't do that yet because now I need thread. I assume that this involves tailoring somehow, and my page of hand-scribbled notes tells me that I need the second floor of the Blue Sheep in Leont for that, so I make the run back. So it turns out it's not tailoring that I need, but another skill called spinning. Like on a spinning wheel, which actually makes sense because I'm making thread. So I see that I'm going to need a bunch of cotton to get spinning up to level 3 before I can make thread, so I go cotton hunting. Okay, hunting done, and I make a bunch of thread. Probably way too much thread to be honest, but better have too much than too little, right? And then I head over to the leatherworker. Now all I have to do is make leather strips, leather straps, and leather lace, and then I can make some nice armor. And it is actually pretty nice. No stats on it, but it has a nice armor class boost that seems to make a bit of a difference when fighting creatures. I like it. Making armor seems to be raising my skill pretty fast, so I make a bunch extra and I go hand them out for free in front of Leont. I don't see any point in trying to make money off it at this point, and giving out free stuff is rewarding in its own way. So, what are my thoughts on this trade skill process? Well, I think it's great. It's just the right amount of difficult, and it's a refreshing change from the standard trade skill plus 2 items equals overpowered item formula that a lot of games follow. Adding the extra steps and extra skills makes creating items an adventure on its own instead of just another step in the grind. And it also adds some value to the items that are made by players who want to put in the work, because not everybody's going to do the crafting. It is a lot of work. So, EverCraft Online devs, you have my attention on this whole crafting thing. You've created a beautifully complex world and added an intriguingly complex crafting system into it to match. I look forward to seeing what it grows into as the development of the game goes on. I sincerely hope it doesn't get dumbed down into the same tired formula that other games use. Well, I'm off to spend some more time exploring and checking out some other crafting. I'll talk to you all in the next video.